Miracles have always fascinated humanity, stirring deep questions about what lies beyond the natural world. But could these extraordinary events, especially instant healings, have a scientific explanation? Or do they remain forever beyond human understanding, manifestations of divine power? This text invites you to explore the intriguing crossroads where science and faith meet, a place where miracles retain their supernatural essence even when science sheds light on their phenomena. After all, how do we make sense of something that seems to defy both natural laws and human comprehension? From the very beginning of time, God created the universe with perfect order and purpose. He established natural laws, laws of physics, chemistry, biology, that govern everything we observe and experience. These laws are not random, they are the foundation of all existence, carefully designed to sustain life and the complex interactions within creation. Science, therefore, can be understood not as opposing faith, but as the tool humanity uses to explore and comprehend this divine order. Every scientific breakthrough, every new discovery, is a window into the intricate design God has woven into the fabric of reality. The human body is a profound example of this divine craftsmanship. Composed of countless cells working in harmony, it possesses an incredible ability to heal itself. From repairing minor wounds to fighting infections, our bodies reveal a natural intelligence built into the system by the Creator. The process of healing is not merely biological. It reflects the sustaining power of God manifesting through the laws He set in motion. When we witness something as astonishing as an instant healing, where the body seemingly overcomes disease or injury in moments, we are faced with a mystery that science tries to unravel. Is science uncovering the hidden mechanics of God's will in action? Or is it merely brushing the surface of something far greater and beyond explanation? The relationship between faith and science is complex but complementary. Science explains the how behind natural processes, yet it does not diminish the why that faith seeks to understand. The laws of nature were created by God and can be seen as His tools, but they do not limit His power. Miracles may appear to break these laws, yet from a divine perspective, they are perfectly consistent with the infinite nature of God's authority. Thus, science is not the enemy of faith but a pathway to deeper appreciation of God's creation. The more we learn about the universe, the more evident it becomes that a grand design exists, one that points back to a Creator whose wisdom and power are beyond human comprehension. When an instant cure or miraculous recovery occurs, it challenges us to look beyond the physical evidence and acknowledge the divine hand at work, orchestrating wonders through and beyond natural law. In this light, miracles become not contradictions of science but extraordinary manifestations of God's will, where science and divine intervention intertwine in a way that leaves us both enlightened and humbled. The eternal question remains, how can these two realms, science and the miraculous, coexist? Is it possible that what we call miracles are simply the extraordinary functioning of God's laws, or are they moments where God transcends natural order to reveal His glory? This mystery invites us to explore further, keeping both faith and reason alive in the search for truth. Throughout the Bible, countless accounts describe miraculous healings that captivate believers and skeptics alike. From Jesus healing the blind to prophets curing the sick, these stories have inspired faith for millennia. Yet, in our modern age, many have sought to understand these miracles through the lens of science, offering plausible explanations that do not deny God's intervention but rather explore the natural means He may have used. Take, for example, the healing of the paralytic lowered through the roof in the Gospel of Mark. Some researchers suggest that psychosomatic effects, the mind's powerful influence on the body, could play a role in such recoveries. It is now well documented that the brain can trigger physical healing responses when the individual believes deeply in recovery. Similarly, some conditions like epilepsy or certain skin diseases may have spontaneous remissions that science still struggles to explain fully. Could these biblical healings have involved both divine power and the body's innate ability to respond under extraordinary circumstances? Even when science offers theories such as neuroplasticity, immune system boosts, or placebo effects, it cannot claim to diminish the miraculous nature of these events. Rather, these explanations highlight how God's power might operate within the framework of natural laws. The Bible never contradicts the reality of the physical world, instead, it reveals that God can work through it. The healings are not merely physical cures but signs of God's presence breaking into human history, demonstrating His compassion and sovereignty. Moreover, many miracles involve not just physical restoration but spiritual transformation. When Jesus healed the blind man, He also opened his eyes to faith and understanding. This dual aspect, physical and spiritual, transcends scientific measurement, reminding us that miracles operate on levels beyond the purely material. Science can study the body but cannot fully grasp the soul's transformation, which is the true hallmark of divine intervention. In every biblical miracle, God's hand is unmistakably present. The scientific explanations proposed do not exclude God. They invite us to consider how His providence sustains and interacts with the natural world. The question is not whether God works through nature, but how the divine and the natural blend in ways that defy human expectations. This perspective allows believers to embrace both faith and reason, recognizing that miracles remain acts of God's will, unfolding through means that science can begin to understand but never fully control or predict. As we continue to explore the mystery of miraculous healings, we are reminded that science and faith are not enemies but allies in revealing the depth of God's power. The miracles of the Bible challenge us to look beyond surface explanations and open our hearts to the supernatural reality that science alone cannot explain. The natural laws that govern our universe, from gravity to the intricate workings of cells, are often viewed as the bedrock of scientific understanding. But these laws themselves can be seen as reflections of God's infinite wisdom and power. Every rule of nature is a thread in the vast tapestry of creation, woven by a divine hand that sustains and controls all things. This means that the order we observe in science is not separate from God but an expression of His ongoing presence in the world. Consider the law of cause and effect: every action has a reaction, every event follows a pattern. These principles provide predictability and structure, enabling scientists to explore, discover, and explain. Yet, within this system, God's sovereignty is never compromised. He is not bound by the laws He created, rather, He upholds and can intervene in them whenever He wills. Miracles, then, do not break natural laws but are extraordinary acts where God's power transcends human expectations while still operating within the divine framework. Science helps us understand how things happen, revealing mechanisms and processes. But it cannot fully explain why the universe exists in such precise harmony or why life thrives against immense odds. The fine-tuning of natural constants, the complexity of living organisms, and the resilience of the human body all point toward an intelligent design far beyond chance. This points us back to the Creator, who engineered these laws to allow life to flourish and, when necessary, to manifest miracles that surpass normal understanding. Moreover, the natural world is dynamic, capable of growth, healing, and adaptation. This flexibility suggests that God's power is not rigid or mechanical but living and responsive. When a body heals instantly, it may be using mechanisms science can identify, like rapid cell regeneration or immune responses, but the spark that triggers such an event could only come from God. This interplay shows that miracles can be seen as moments when the divine activates or accelerates natural processes in ways science can begin to describe but never fully explain. Importantly, recognizing God's control over natural laws restores a sense of wonder and humility. Science uncovers the rules, but God is the author who can rewrite them at will. Thus, the laws of nature are not obstacles to faith but gateways to understanding the magnitude of divine power. Miracles remain miracles precisely because they reveal the presence of a God who transcends even the most fundamental principles of existence. In this light, science and faith are not opposing forces but complementary ways of appreciating the universe. The laws of nature reflect the enduring power of God, while miracles remind us that His sovereignty is not limited to those laws. This ongoing divine involvement invites us to see every healing, every act of restoration, not just as a physical event but as a profound encounter with the living God who governs all things. Among the many miracles recorded in sacred texts, the story of the woman healed by touching the hem of Jesus' garment stands out for its remarkable immediacy and mystery. According to the Gospel of Luke, this woman suffered from a chronic bleeding condition for 12 years, an ailment that left her weak and socially isolated. Yet the moment she touched Jesus' cloak, her bleeding stopped instantly, and she felt her body healed. How can we understand such a sudden cure through both spiritual and scientific lenses? From a medical perspective, chronic bleeding disorders often stem from underlying issues like blood vessel damage, clotting deficiencies, or hormonal imbalances. Modern science shows that healing such conditions typically requires time, medication, or intervention. Spontaneous remission, though rare, is documented in some cases, often linked to psychosomatic effects or sudden shifts in the immune system. The power of belief and emotional release can influence bodily functions, sometimes triggering unexpected recovery. Could this explain the woman's instantaneous healing? Possibly, but it does not tell the whole story. The miracle transcends mere physiology. It was not just the physical act of touching a piece of cloth but the faith behind that touch, an expression of trust in divine power, that set the healing in motion. This illustrates that miracles often engage both the physical and spiritual realms simultaneously. While science might explain the biological processes that follow, it cannot capture the profound spiritual dimension that activates such phenomena. The woman's faith was a catalyst for God's healing power to manifest. Importantly, no scientific explanation diminishes the reality that God is the ultimate author of the miracle. The laws of nature, whether biological, neurological, or psychological, are tools through which God works. When He wills, He can act instantaneously, overriding normal processes to demonstrate His compassion and authority. This healing was not a random event but a deliberate intervention by a sovereign Creator who responds to human faith in miraculous ways. This example challenges us to hold space for both science and faith. Science can describe the mechanisms of healing, but it cannot replace the divine origin of miracles. They are moments when God reveals His presence in the world, reminding us that beyond natural laws lies a power that transcends human understanding. The miracle of the woman healed by touching Jesus' garment invites us to believe in a God who heals both body and soul, instantly, powerfully, and lovingly. The New Testament is filled with astounding miracles that reveal the power and compassion of Jesus Christ. From turning water into wine to raising Lazarus from the dead, these acts defy natural explanation and inspire awe. Yet in our modern world, many seek to understand these events through scientific reasoning, asking, could there be natural explanations behind these divine acts? And if so, what does this mean for faith? Take the miracle at Cana, where Jesus turned water into wine. Some scholars suggest natural chemical processes could have been at work, perhaps fermentation occurred faster than expected due to specific environmental conditions. Science tells us that fermentation is a biological process driven by yeast and bacteria, which can be influenced by temperature and other factors. While such insights enrich our understanding, they do not negate the miracle's significance. The event was a divine sign, revealing Jesus' glory and inaugurating His ministry. Science can illuminate how something happened but cannot diminish the divine purpose behind it. Similarly, the healing of the man born blind challenges both science and faith. Modern medicine acknowledges that certain forms of blindness can be treated or reversed, sometimes spontaneously, yet the instantaneous healing described in John's Gospel remains beyond current scientific capability. This points to a supernatural intervention that surpasses natural laws. The miracle was not just about physical sight but about spiritual enlightenment, the revealing of God's kingdom through Christ. Science can explain the anatomy of the eye, but it cannot explain the transformation of a soul. Perhaps the most profound example is the resurrection of Lazarus. Science knows of no precedent for a person coming back to life after days in the tomb. The event transcends natural explanation entirely. It confirms the sovereignty of God over life and death and prefigures Christ's own resurrection, central to Christian faith. Even as science strives to understand life's mysteries, this miracle remains a testament to divine power beyond human reach. These New Testament miracles demonstrate that faith and science need not be adversaries. Science explains the workings of the natural world, faith reveals the supernatural reality behind it. The miracles are signs that God uses the natural order but is not limited by it. The harmony between faith and science invites believers to explore both realms with open minds and hearts, recognizing that God's power is the source of all healing, restoration, and transformation. Ultimately, these miracles affirm that God's hand is always at work, even when science offers partial explanations. They call us to trust in a divine plan that surpasses human understanding. A plan that heals, restores, and redeems in ways both seen and unseen. As we journey through the exploration of miracles, those awe-inspiring moments of instant healing and divine intervention, we come to a profound realization: science, while a powerful tool for understanding the natural world, has inherent limits. It is bound by human perspective and empirical methods, confined to what can be observed, measured, and repeated. Yet, the divine mysteries of God transcend these boundaries, inviting us to a deeper level of faith and wonder. Science seeks to explain the how of natural phenomena, the mechanisms behind disease, healing, and the laws that govern the universe. But it cannot fully grasp the why behind miracles or the infinite nature of God's power. The mysteries of divine action remain beyond the reach of scientific inquiry, not because they contradict reason, but because they originate from a reality that surpasses human comprehension. God's nature is infinite, eternal, and transcendent. He exists beyond time and space, orchestrating the universe with wisdom and love. Miracles remind us that He is not a distant observer but an active presence in creation, capable of bending natural laws without violating them. They affirm that the world is not merely a mechanical system but a living testament to divine creativity. The relationship between science and faith, therefore, is not one of conflict but of complementarity. Science enriches our understanding of God's creation. Faith opens our hearts to the mysteries that science cannot decode. This balance calls us to humility, recognizing that human knowledge is partial and provisional, while divine knowledge is perfect and absolute. As we reflect on the miracles of healing, the question remains: how can we reconcile the explanations science offers with the undeniable power of God behind them? Perhaps the answer lies not in choosing one over the other but in embracing the mystery itself. Knowing that science attempts to illuminate the pathways God may use, but God's essence will always remain beyond full human grasp. In the end, the wonder of miracles invites us into a journey of faith, where science guides the mind and faith moves the soul. It is a journey that honors both the visible and the invisible, the natural and the supernatural, the finite and the infinite. And in that sacred space, we find the true miracle. A God who loves, heals, and works beyond what we can see or understand.